One of the most demotivating things that can happen in your bodybuilding journey is the feeling that you're not making any progress. You've been working out pretty consistently, but you just don't see the changes in the mirror. It feels like you've been in maintenance or even a slight decline for months, if not years. If this persists without being resolved, it can take you out of the game and make you give up on muscle building altogether. But if you're dedicated to building a muscular, good-looking physique, the weight room is the place to be. So let's dive into 5 key reasons your muscles stop growing and how to get progress markers trending in the right direction again. Number 1, you haven't updated your program. Reason number 1 for the lack of progress in muscle growth is your training program hasn't adapted to your current training status as a lifter. What your body needs to adapt in year 1 is different from what you need to progress in 2, 5, or 10 years. This doesn't mean you need to switch from push-pull legs to full body training, or that there's a specific program for year 2 lifters. There's no generic program that is perfect for every lifter at a particular stage. The key is to adjust the variables within the program to match your current status. We'll cover the key factors here, but for a more detailed breakdown, check out our video titled 6 Most Important Training Variables for Muscle Growth. For the sake of this video, we'll break down one of the critical variables, which is training volume. Many studies investigate how training volume affects muscle gains, including how training volume is best defined. This 2018 systematic review by Bosval and others looked at the various ways training volume has been described in the literature. They found the best way to track volume is with challenging sets per week, regardless of the rep range used. Several other research papers show that there are minimum sets per week for muscle growth. On the other side of the spectrum, increasing volume to the upper end can increase muscle mass to a point. For example, these 2017 and 2019 papers showed a graded dose-response relationship whereby increases in resistance training volume produce greater gains in muscle hypertrophy. But before we increase to a high number of sets, let's make sure we're not doing less than the low-end sets per week, which is 6 to 10 sets. Here's an example of how you can calculate your sets per muscle group per week and adjust them over time. I recommend doing this with an Excel spreadsheet. To start, lay out the exercises you perform in your program, then create a column beside it for the number of sets. In another part of the spreadsheet, create a list of muscle groups, for example, chest, back, shoulders, quads, hamstrings, calves, biceps, triceps. If there are muscle groups you want to focus on further, like glutes or forearms, feel free to add them to the list. In the column beside the muscle groups, create a sum of the sets related to the exercise. Here's an example of total weekly sets for the chest. Flat barbell press, 4 sets. Incline dumbbell press, 4 sets. Machine chest fly, 3 sets. Max set of push-ups, 3 sets. Total weekly sets, 14 sets. The question to ask yourself now is, how does 14 sets per week affect your chest gains? Making progress? Great, stay there. Feel too sore and overtrained? Reduce the sets. Are you not seeing enough progress? It's time to up this number. You can either increase the number of sets for each exercise or add more chest exercises. Follow this process for each muscle group and you'll be on your way to a well-rounded physique. Let's move on to the next topic. Number 2, you haven't set new goals. The following reason many people stop making progress is that they stop goal setting. Without clear goals, it's easy to fall into just maintaining your physique for long periods. This is why you see many people who made a lot of early gains now look the same after years of training. This 2016 study that looked at weight loss outcomes found that weight loss at 12 months was more significant for those who set targets. They even found that some of the subjects got even greater results by setting unrealistic goals. So there's something to be said about having high aspirations. The takeaway is to always have goals in place that you're shooting for. This can be a significant number you want to hit on the squat, deadlift, or bench press, or a body weight and body fat percentage that you want to reach. Take some time every few months to write down your goals and review them. This will ensure that you always have something to progress towards. Number 3, you haven't hired a coach to keep you accountable. Almost every athlete that you see perform at a high level, whether in sports or bodybuilding, has a coach. Here are 3 major reasons to hire a coach to take your gains to the next level: accountability, knowledge, and unbiased feedback. It's one thing to say that you work out 5 days a week and always hit your macros, and it's another to present your logs to a trained professional. You may quickly realize you haven't been as consistent as you thought, and there's room to tighten things up. Having a mentor can accelerate your learning, but more importantly, you'll learn the things specific to you that you may have overlooked. In a physique-focused sport where you're constantly hearing about not being big enough, lean enough, lagging body parts, and being stuck in plateaus, it's easy to get down on yourself and not see where you're at. So an unbiased opinion from a coach can help you make the right choice and stick to the right path, even when it's out of your comfort zone. This can be the difference between bailing on your goals and achieving them. If you're able, find the best coach you can find and hire them. You can skyrocket your results if you need that guidance and accountability. Number 4, Your training intensity isn't high enough. The intensity in resistance training literature generally refers to two things. One relates to how heavy the weight is, typically expressed in percentage of 1 rep max, and the other is the intensity of effort. The definition we want to focus on here is the intensity of effort. In other words, how hard you train. As a novice lifter, even if you don't train with much intensity, you'll experience muscle and strength gains since the training stimulus is new to you. And while most people title these as newbie gains and say they last around 6 months, these can last years before they slowly taper off. But of course, it depends on the lifter's genetics. But once you truly become more advanced, the more stimulus you'll require to grow. To use a race car example, you're no longer learning how to drive like a pro, you've mastered the art, and now you're fine-tuning things to maximize your top speed. Once you've become advanced, it's time to focus on bringing intensity to each of your training sessions that isn't a deload or recovery session. Number 5, you're not tracking your progress. The 5th point, which makes many of the points above possible, is tracking your progress. The habit of tracking your progress and having complex numbers to look at will spotlight how you are progressing. One example is taking body measurements once a month. When looking at the numbers, you can ask yourself, are your arms getting bigger? How about your chest and shoulders? Or around the quads? An increase in these regions means you're building muscle, given that your body fat percentage hasn't changed too much. Also, increasing your lifting numbers is typically a good indicator of your muscle growth, especially if you're tracking your protein intake and it's been consistent. As you can see, tracking gives you a lot of data to gauge if you're making progress or if you need to change things up to make that happen. To wrap up, if you learn how to adjust your training variables, set clear goals, hire a solid coach, train with intensity, and track your progress, you are guaranteed to continue to see gains over time. If you found this video helpful, make sure you give this video a thumbs up as it'll truly help out the channel. Are you looking for a complete, done-for-you training and nutrition guide guaranteed to add slabs of muscle to your frame in the next 90 days? Claim your free copy of our book, Bulk Up Fast. The book has already been paid for. All you have to do is cover the small shipping fee. Just click the link in the description, tell us where to ship it, and we'll send it to you anywhere in the world. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more videos and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one. Peace.